Hello and a very warm welcome to each one of you. And thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me. Today we are diving into a new segment wherein we are going to talk about how to communicate our rules, how every upset is a rule upset, and the challenges of changing our rules. But before we dive into that, let me share with you what we have read so far in chapter 16. सबसे पहली चीज हमने पढ़ी है वन रूल our rules act like invisible checklist that determines when we allow ourselves to feel happy, to feel loved, to feel successful, to feel abundant, to feel fulfilled. कुछ भी, howsoever we feel, we are dictated by our rules. हम अपने rules के हिसाब से act करते हैं. Then we also studied कि हमारी most of the sufferings come because of our rules are either too rigid or contradictory or dependent on others. ठीक है, leaving us powerless. Then we also understood that true joy comes from empowering, flexible, and self-directed rules that makes life easy to win. Yesterday we began seeing how to set up the games so we can win. उसके अंदर हमने 3 रूल्स के बारे में बात करी थी, 3 वेज, 3 बेसिक स्ट्रैटेजीज के बारे में बात करी थी. And if you would love to hear that, the 3 strategies were कि first of all हमारे criteria जो होते हैं, rules that are different, that are very difficult to accomplish are disempowering rules. Then something that you cannot control determines whether your rules something you cannot control, अगर उसके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है आपका रूल to be happy, to be successful, to be loved, then it is a disempowering rule. And then third one was it gives you a lot of ways to feel bad and very few ways or standards to feel good. अगर आपकी लाइफ में आपके ऐसे रूल्स हैं जिसकी वजह से आप फील बैड बहुत जल्दी से कर लेते हो और फील गुड करने के लिए आपको बहुत ज्यादा कुछ एकम्प्लिश करना पड़ता है, देन इट इज ऑल्सो डिसएम्पावरिंग. एंड दैट टॉक्स कि आपका जो एवरीडे रूटीन है, यू विल नॉट बी हैप्पी एंड satisfied with that. All right, let me start sharing the screen so that we can start with today's read, wherein we are going to read about every upset is a rule upset. I hope the screen is visible to you as well. Every upset is a rule upset. Think about the last time you were upset with someone. Was it really about them? Or was it about something they did or said or failed to do that you thought they ought to? Were you angry at them or were you angry because they violated one of your rules? At the base of every emotional upset you have ever had with another human being is a rule upset. Somebody did something or failed to do something that violated one of your beliefs about what they must or should do. For example, some people's rule for respect is if you respect me, then you never raise your voice. If a person with whom you are in a relationship suddenly starts to yell, you are not going to feel respected if this is your rule. You are going to be angry because it has been violated. But your partner's rule may be if I am respected, then I am truthful about my feelings and all my emotions, good, bad, and indifferent, and I express them with all my intensity in the moment. Can you imagine the conflict these two people can have? How many of you already have this kind of a rule? मुझको भी बड़े टाइम तक आई यूज टू से कि अगर आप मुझसे तेज आवाज में वॉल्यूम में बात करो, दैट इज नॉट अंडरस्टैंडेबल बाय मी, इट इज अ नॉन नेगोशिएबल फॉर मी, आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू लिसन टू यू, आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू टॉक टू यू, एंड इट मीन्स दैट यू डू नॉट लव मी, यू डू नॉट रिस्पेक्ट. And for my husband, this is exactly how he feels. He, if he respects our relationship, he is truly authentic about his emotions, about his whatever he is happening inside of his heart. And can you imagine the kind of conflicts we could have happened, that we could have faced? It's now only that I have understood that everybody is operating through their own master system, that I give leverage of this thing. But does that mean I do not set boundaries? No, not at all. I have told him, and I keep repeating that as well, so that one day he understands it. But do I get angry about it? Do I fight on it? I choose not to do that. This was the scenario played out between Becky and me when we first began to develop our relationship. We had radically different rules about how to show respect to another person. Why? I grew up in an environment where you got a lot of pain if you were not honest. If you walked out of a room in the middle of a conversation, you would never live it down. The number one rule was that you hung in there and expressed your honest emotions, knowing you could be wrong, but you stay there until everything was worked out. Meanwhile, Becky grew up in a family where the rules were quite different but equally clear. She was taught if you don't have something good to say, don't say anything at all. If you have respect for someone, you never raise your voice to them. If someone else ever raises their voice, the only way to keep your self respect is to get up and leave the room. Ditto for myself as well. With this kind of conflict between our rules for respect, Becky and I drove each other crazy. We almost didn't get married because of this. Rules determine everything: where we go, what we wear, who we are, what's acceptable to us, and what's unacceptable, who we have as friends, and whether we are happy or sad is virtually in virtually any situation. Some people's rule of handling upset is, if you care about me, then you leave me alone and let me deal with it my own way. Other people's rule is, if somebody is upset and you care about them, you immediately intervene to try to help. This creates a tremendous conflict. Both people are trying to accomplish the same thing, which is to respect and care about each other. But their rule dictates different behaviors, and their rules of interpretation will make their actions seem adversarial rather than supportive. So if you ever feel angry or upset with someone, remember, it's your rules that are upsetting you, not the behavior. This will help you to stop blaming them. You can get past your upset quickly by first stopping and asking yourself, am I reacting to this, or I'm responding to the situation intelligently? Then communicate with that person right up front and say something like, I'm sorry, I responded the way I did. It's just that you and I have different rules about what we need to do in this situation. My expectations are that if you respect me, you will do XYZ, dash and dash. I know those aren't your rules. So please tell me, what are your rules? How do you express respect, love, caring, concern, etc.? Once you are both clear on what the other person wants, then you can make a deal. Ask them, would you be willing to do dash to make me feel respected? I would be willing to do dash for you. Any relationship, business or personal, can be instantly transformed just by getting clear on the rules and making an agreement to play by them. This is such a beautiful example. हमने फाइव लव लैंग्वेजेस में भी पढ़ा था, एवरी पर्सन हैज अ पर्टिकुलर लैंग्वेज बाय विच दैट पर्सन फील्स लव्ड. अगर मेरे हस्बैंड को एक्ट ऑफ सर्विस पसंद है और मैं उसको कुछ और देती जा रही हूँ, वर्ड्स ऑफ एफर्मेशन दिए जा रही हूँ, दिए जा रही हूँ, दिए जा रही हूँ, डू यू थिंक ही विल फील लव्ड? Most of the times we operate from our values, our rules, our love languages, wherein we, हमारे को जो अच्छा लगता है हम उस वही काम सामने वाले के लिए कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि हमारे हिसाब से प्यार तभी होता है जब मैं एक्सवाइजेड कर रही हूँ, मैं जब अपने हस्बैंड को अप्रिशिएट कर रही हूँ. बट ही विल नॉट फील लव्ड अनलेस एंड until he is loved in his own language, in his own love language. And likewise, this is what Tony Robbins has shared here as well, कि इंसान के अंदर जब तक आप उसको जो चाहिए उस हिसाब से उसके साथ डील नहीं करते हो, they will not feel what they want. You are intending to make them feel. All right. After all, how can you ever hope to win a game if you don't even know the rules? रूल्स जानोगे सामने वाले के, तभी आपको उसको विन कर सकते हो. अदरवाइज लूजिंग ऑन रिलेशनशिप्स इज द सिंपलेस्ट एंड द इजीएस्ट वे इफ यू डू नॉट invest in understanding that person and that person's rules, that person's values, his love language, and everything. Now, what is the challenge of changing rules? हमने पढ़ा कि हमारे क्या क्या रूल्स हैं, हमने ये भी अंडरस्टैंड कर लिया कि हमारे अपने हम अपनी लाइफ में किन रूल्स के ऊपर ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं. वी हैव डिस्कस्ड इट इन लेंथ. एंड कुछ एक हमारे को समझ में ये भी आ रहा है कि आर disempowering ones. Now, what is the challenge in changing those rules? Let's understand that. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you knew what the rules were, but all of a sudden expectations started cropping up? People have the unique ability to call upon sub rules that may be in conflict with all their other rules. A good metaphor for this might be if you and I decided to play baseball together and I asked you, do you know how to play baseball? And you say, of course. Then you would review the basics. We would play 9 innings. The person who scores the most runs wins. You have got to touch all the bases. You get 3 outs and so on. If you hit a pop fly and I catch it, you are out. If I drop it, you are safe. So we start the game. Everything's going great until the bottom of the ninth. When the score is tied, I have 2 men on and 1 man out, and I hit a high pop fly to the infield. My rules say that if you catch the ball, I'm out and the game is over. But if you drop it, I'm safe and the men on base have a chance to score and I could win the game. I immediately run to the base. You go for the ball and drop it. I'm thrilled. I'm on base. My teammate scores, and I think we have won the game. But you come to me and say, no, you are out. I say, what are you talking about? You dropped the ball. The rules are that if you drop ball, then I'm safe. And then you say, that's true, except when there are 2 men on and 1 man out. In that case, even if I drop the ball, then you're still out. That's the one expectation. I protest. You can't make up rules as we are going along. You would answer, I didn't make this up. It's called the infield fly rule. Everyone knows about it. I turn to my teammates and they say no such rule exists. You turn to the teammates and they say that that's a rule. And we all end up fighting over the rules. Have you ever had this experience in your personal relationship? You were playing by all the rules, and all of a sudden, someone said, yes, that's true. except in this one situation, and you went ballistic. People feel very intense about their rules. Everyone knows their rules are the right rules. People get especially angry when they think others are making up rules and changing them along the way. Yet, this dynamic is a part of the most interactions with other humans. पैराडॉक्सिकल प्रोवर्ब्स. सो हैव यू एवर खुद आपने ये ऐसी कभी सिचुएशन डील करी है कि हाँ ऑल ऑफ अ सडन जस्ट इमेजिन कि हाँ हम भी कुछ वी डोंट प्ले बेसबॉल हियर राइट सो मे बी यू आर प्लेइंग लूडो एंड ऑल ऑफ अ सडन आपको बोला गया कि 2 6s के बाद थर्ड 6 आता है तो यू आर आउट एंड इफ यू हैव समथिंग लाइक 5 or 4 or 1 or 2 or whatever other any other number on your dice तो आपको सारी बारी चलने को मिलेगी एंड ऑल ऑफ अ सडन somebody in the middle of this thing says कि नहीं नहीं पर अगर बोर्ड से गिर गया डाइस तो मतलब कि आपकी कैंसिल हो गई चांस एंड while प्लेइंग सारे रूल्स काम कर रहे थे सब कुछ सेम 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 चल रहा था एंड ऑल ऑफ अ सडन योर dice rolls out of the board and this person is saying no you are out because you are eliminated all of a sudden he is telling you क्योंकि आपका बोर्ड से डाइस बाहर गिर गया है and you will be like ऐसा तो कुछ है ही नहीं ऐसा तो कोई डिस्कस ही नहीं हुआ था रूल right this is what this is being talked about here paradoxical proverbs look before you leap too many cooks spoil the broth absence makes the heart grow fonder. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. The grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. A penny saved is a penny earned. He who hesitates is lost. Two heads are better than one. Out of sight, out of mind. It's never too late to learn. There is no place like home. You can't take it with me. You can't take it with you, sorry. In fact, the paradox of conflicting beliefs and rules is one of the reasons people find so much frustration in their lives. In a relationship, one person says, I love you, except when you leave the cap off the toothpaste. Or I love you, except when you raise your voice at me. Some of these rules seem totally trivial, but they can be very damaging. The best way to deal with this is to remember that your rules are not based on reality. They are pretty arbitrary. Just because you have used them and feel strongly about them doesn't mean they are the best rules or the right rules. Rules should be designed to empower our relationships, not to destroy them. Anytime a rule gets in the way, the question we need to ask ourselves is, what's more important, my relationship or my rules? Suppose your trust was violated in a romantic relationship, and now you're afraid to get close to anyone else again. You now have a rule that says if you get too close, you will get hurt. At the same time, your highest value is love. Your rule is that in order to feel loved, you must get close to someone. Now that you have a major conflict, your rule and the values are in the absolute opposition. What can you do in this situation? The first step is to realize that you have conflicting rules. The second step is to link another pain to any of the rule that does not serve you and replace it with a rule that does. Most important, if you want to have quality relationship with other people, where it's in your business or personal life, you must communicate your rules. Yes, absolutely. Communicating your rules should be the first rule of your life. आपने कोई भी गेम खेलनी है तो आप अपने पहले रूल्स डिसाइड करते हो ना कि दिस इज हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू प्ले अगर आपको अपनी लाइफ लीड करनी है, मेक श्योर दैट यू आर शेयरिंग योर रूल्स अबाउट वॉट एवर लव, केयर, अटेंशन, रिस्पेक्ट, क्वालिटी टाइम, जो भी कोई रूल्स चीजें हैं दैट यू वांट इन योर रिलेशनशिप, डिस्कस अबाउट इट. व्हाट आर द रूल्स दैट डिफाइन कि हाँ, आई एम बीइंग केयर्ड फॉर, राइट? कम्युनिकेट योर रूल्स, क्योंकि वो बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है. लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड दैट एज वेल. If you want to take control of your life, if you want to do well in business, if you want to be a great negotiator, if you want to be able to impact your children, if you want to be close to your spouse, then make sure you discover the rules they have for the relationships up front and communicate yours as well. Don't expect people to live by your rules if you don't clearly communicate what they are. And don't expect people to live by your rules if you are not willing to compromise and live by some of theirs. For example, in the beginning of any relationship, one of the first thing I do is to let the other party know my rules for the situation and try to find out as many of their rules as possible. I ask things like, what will it take for you to know that our relationship is working? How often do we have to communicate? What is necessary? For example, I once was talking to with a friend of mine who was well-known celebrity, and he shared with me that he didn't feel like he had very many friends. I said, "Are you sure you don't have many friends? I see lots of people around you who truly do care about you. Is it that you have rules that eliminate a lot of people who could be your friends?" He said, "It just doesn't feel like they are my friends." Just a second. I said, "What has to happen for you to feel like they are your friends?" He said, "Well, I guess I don't even know what my rules are consciously." After giving it some thought, he identified one of his top rules for friendship. If you're a friend of his, then you talk to him at least 2 or 3 times a week. That's an interesting rule, I thought. I have friends all over the world, people I truly love. But sometimes, even with my best friend, a month or more may go by before we get a chance to talk again, just because it is the intensity of the schedules. Often I will be in seminars from early mornings until very late at night, and then I may have had 100 phone calls in that day. There is no physical way I could talk to all those people, yet they all know they are my friends. Then I asked him, "Do you think I am your friend?" He said, "Well, intellectually, I know you are, but sometimes it doesn't feel like it because we don't talk together often enough." I said, "Wow, I never knew that. I never would have known that was important to you if you hadn't communicated it to me. I bet you have lots of friends who might love meeting your rules of friendship if they just knew what they were." My definition for friendship is quite simple. If you are a friend, then you obviously love a person unconditionally and you will do anything you can to support them. If they call you when they are in trouble or truly in need, you are there for them. Months go by, yet the friendship will never weaken once you decide that somebody is truly your friend. That's it. You never question it again. I think I have lots of friends because my rules for friendship are so easy to meet. All you have to do is care about me and love me, and I will care about you and love you. And now we are friends. It's so important to communicate your rules for any situation in life, whether it is love, whether it is friendship, or business. By the way, even if you clarify all the rules in advance, misunderstandings still occur. Can misunderstandings still occur? You bet. Sometimes you will forget to communicate one of your rules, or you may not even consciously know what some of your rules are. That's why ongoing communication is so important. Never assume when it comes to rules. Communicate. Wow, this is such an intense piece, isn't it? मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि अगर हम communicate करते हैं, nobody is a mind reader over here. हमारे को एक दूसरे से बात कर कर ही पता चलता है कि what exactly are we wanting to listen. What are our rules? How do we feel a certain way? It's something that happens only when we communicate well. तो 3 चीजें पढ़ ली है हमने आज. Every upset is a rule upset, जिसका मतलब है कि negative emotions often rise because someone, either ourselves or others, has violated our internal rules. Second, हमने पढ़ा the challenges of changing rules. Even disempowering rules can feel safe or familiar, making change difficult. But holding on keeps us stuck in pain. Last but not the least, what we have read is communicate your rules. Many conflicts happen simply because others don't even know what our rules are. Communicating them clearly leads to healthy relationships. Okay? So I would love for you to remember this. Behind every upset is a broken value, broken rule. Old rules feel safe, but growth demands new and empowering ones. Unspoken rules, जो आप बात ही नहीं करते हो, communicate नहीं करते, is equal to misunderstanding. Spoken rules is equal to clarity. Happiness and harmony grows when rules are simple, flexible, and shared. Okay. I would love for you to reflect on, this thing. Think of your past upsets and what rule of yours was violated. Was it communicated clearly or was it unspoken? अगर किसी के साथ भी आपका conflict हो रहा है, किसी के साथ भी, ask yourself this question. Okay. All right. मुझको आपको एक activity करवानी थी today. And for that, I wanted you to write down one old rule that has been creating repeated upsets in your life. For example, people should always appreciate me when I do something for them. ठीक है? अब हमारे को क्या करना है? After this, we are going to rewrite it into an empowering, flexible rule. I choose to appreciate myself and feel grateful when others do too. When you keep repeating such things, you change the energy of everything. And group पे share करना कि what is your before and after. मतलब before you had set the rule and after you had set the rule consciously. ठीक है? This was Navratri day number 3, which was free for you all and it's open for each one of you. I hope you got some value from this session. God bless you. Take good care of yourself and lots of love. Bye-bye.